Amplify Science, Population and Resources Unit, Chapter 2, Lesson 2.1, Reproduction and Energy. We begin at the warm-up. You are presented with tadpoles and asked to respond to a question. Be sure to hand that in. When finished, move on to step 2, in which they introduce you to the term reproduction, or the process of creating offspring. We're going to take a look at one of the projections here related to what you did in lesson 1.4. So we have moon jelly population. In claim 1, at births increased. In claim 2, deaths decreased. And which of these claims might have caused the population to go up, which is the chapter 2 question. So we have our physical model. Before 2000, we had 8 jellyfish organisms on the page. They crossed off 2 of them with an X to indicate that they died. And these 2 with a B reproduced. And overall, that maintains the population. 2 births, 2 deaths, the overall population doesn't change. But after 2000, we now have 3 births compared to 2 deaths, which would cause the jellyfish population to increase. So now we see 9 overall jellyfish. Claim 2 explanation, physical model, would be that in 2000, before 2000, we have 2 deaths and 2 births, which maintains the population over time. And then after 2000, we've now only have 1 death compared to 2 births, which would cause the population to go up as well for 2 different reasons. So you're going to be collecting evidence over time to explain that. We're going to be reading articles. You get articles of your choice. You are going to actively read. So again, active reading means thinking carefully about what you read. Pay attention to the voice in your head. Annotate, right? You're highlighting, you're making notes. You're examining everything in the text, both words and visuals. And then you'll have an opportunity to discuss with your partners. When you do get to the discussion step, don't forget you can use hashtags. They suggest hashtag share, hashtag discussed, and hashtag present to keep track of whether it's something you think you're going to share with a partner, that you've already discussed it with your partner, or something you want to ask to the class as a whole. But I always encourage you, you don't have to use those 3, so you can add more or change them. The important part is that you are aware of your own thinking and coming up with a system that works for you. So we hop back into the Amplify steps, and in the second step of step 2 is where you will choose in the pull down which article you're going to read, and they do give you the active reading guidelines again, but there's the reproduction and energy article set that you need to open and then decide which of those 4 populations you're going to read about. As mentioned with the projection, step 3 is a student-to-student discussion. So once you've had a chance to read the article you're going to read, you'll discuss with someone around you or move seats to discuss what you learned from the article about reproduction and energy. There are 3 steps to step 3. The second step is pointing out the term energy and what it means, the ability to make things move or change. And in this case, we're going to relate energy to reproduction. Okay? Reproducing requires energy, and you're going to learn what that connection is. Where that takes us is connecting your article, the things you've read about reproduction and energy in the article, over to the simulation. So in step 4, you have to open the simulation. So I have the simulation open, and it says to choose the 3 populations, not the 3 populations intro, but the middle 3 populations. It's probably going to be helpful to zoom in. When I zoom in, one of the things I want to point out are these cylinders, these orange cylinders that are beneath every organism. That is the visual representation of their energy tank. So I'm going to pause this so they stop moving around and point out on this furball, it has an orange tank. And I can come down to this wee bug below it. Notice that its orange tank is less full. I can get more information by actually clicking on an organism, and I get their actual energy storage molecule number. Now, energy storage molecule is the way a living thing stores and uses energy. So when we say ESM, or energy storage molecule, all we're saying is this is the energy level of this organism. This is how the organism is getting energy and spending energy. It's kind of like dollars is our currency. You can talk about having money, and what we're referring to is how many dollars you have. In this case, we want to know how much energy you have, you're spending, you're gaining. We're going to do it with numbers that measure energy storage molecules. So you can play and pause that as much as you need to. The other thing they want to point out, so tracking, eating, reproducing, and dying are 3 choices you can make when you want to keep track of what's happening in the population. So I might choose reproducing, and that will highlight organisms that are reproducing and keep track of what's going on. As I hit play, notice they flash brighter colors when they reproduce, and then the rest of them are kind of grayed out. So that's another way you can work at tracking to gather information for step 4. When we head back over to step 4, just like step 1, 2, 3, they all have a hand-in portion. You have to respond to the questions after you've followed the directions on the screen and responded in the way you need to. And then once you finish step 4 and hand it in, you're finished with 2.1, and that is the entire lesson.